Cosmic horror can be distilled down to one thing: the fear of the unknown. Though nearly a century old, cosmic horror remains relevant today. Take John Carpenter's The Thing, which follows R.J. McCready, a misanthropic helicopter pilot at an isolated Antarctic research facility. He and other men at the facility must fight an alien threat that consumes individuals and replicates their likeness.
Mac wants the flamethrower. Mac wants the what? That's what he said, now move!
This cult classic falls into the confines of cosmic horror because it is a deterministic fusion of horror and science fiction where the real gives way to the unreal. It demonstrates the fear and awe one feels when confronted with phenomena beyond our comprehension.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
And it's a meditation on man's insignificance in an uncaring universe. Lovecraft developed an entire mythology to the stories he wrote, which can't be completely divorced from the subgenre he created. The aesthetic of his monsters, creatures consisting of insect or crab-like limbs, viscera, especially tentacles, was largely due to his well-warranted phobia of the deep ocean. His phobia, though unique to him, has continued to be translated into the visual representations of cosmic horror to this day. Much of his work is centered around his literary philosophy of Cosmicism, the sense that ordinary life is a thin shell over a reality that is so alien and abstract in comparison, merely contemplating it damages the sanity of an ordinary person.
I don't want to stay out here anymore. I want to come back inside.
Cosmic horror is also known for its isolation, whether it's the insular rural hamlets of New England, a lonely Antarctic outpost, or a derelict mining vessel floating in space. Dead Space follows Isaac, an engineer trying to track down his squeeze on a mining starship, infested with an alien life form that reanimates the dead into various grotesque forms and operates off of one hive mind. It falls in line with the themes common to cosmic horror. It has a silent, somewhat detached hero that uses his intelligence over his bronze. He arts and crafts his way through the alien scourge, outsmarting the unkillable. It's anti-anthropocentrist, which is a fancy, hard-to-pronounce way of saying that humanity is not centric to the tale. The necromorphs care very little about human affairs or motivations. Man is but a blip in the grand cosmos to them. It has a preoccupation with the viscera and the sea creature chimeras spoken of before. It uses plot points stripped from Lovecraft, like ancient cults attempting to summon a leviathan.
To be related to some artifact they found on the planet.
The mark must be delivered to the church.
The survivor called it the Leviathan.
The game is chock full of unanswered questions.
You must understand, the forces at work here are greater than you can imagine.
And when the questions are answered, the person's sanity tends to take a hit.
See? You're insane.
Which leads to the next point. It deals with the fragility of sanity itself.
My crew, they're starting to crack.
Nothing to be afraid of.
Finally, the tale is a hopeless one. Isaac's victory over the necromorphs is temporary at best. Dead Space, like The Thing, displays the three major tenets that appear in cosmic horror: a contemplation of the vast, unknowable universe and man's insignificant role therein,
Embrace your own extinction.
a protagonist confronted by phenomena alien to his understanding, and a determinist mix of horror and sci-fi where the hero has no choice but to pursue phenomena until their distinction between real and unreal fades.
Make us whole again. Make us whole again.
These three things can be reduced to the interplay between the comfort of the known and the greater fear of the unknown. But the reason Lovecraft was, in Stephen King's words, the 20th century's greatest practitioner of the classic horror tale, is because his work deals with the particulars of the unknown. The fear of man's insignificance, the alien, the unreal, are all translations of archetypal fears of the unknown that have been around and with us for a very long time. It should be noted that it is hard to find a concrete definition for these concepts that every professional and layman agree with, but I'm going to attempt a broad, accepted definition of these terms.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Obviously, a short video such as this does the depth of these subjects a disservice, but if you're a curious fellow, I can provide the links to the subjects below. Good luck down the rabbit hole. To be clear, when I say the void, I'm not talking about mysticism.
I feel infinite.
I'm talking about psychology and philosophy. The void is a manifestation of nothingness. It's important to certain realms of psychology, particularly logotherapy, which put forward the premise that the primary motivator in an individual's life is the quest for meaning. And as the void is a personification of emptiness, it is the antithesis of meaning. Cosmic horror lays this existential dread on thick. Even though the hero may find penultimate purpose in their journey, some semblance of meaning, ultimately no matter what they do, the monster will win out in the end. The futility of their quest strikes a real chord with most, because we may not get swallowed whole by Cthulhu.
Isaac, it's me. I wish I could talk to you.
But it's likely no matter what we do, the inevitable heat death of the universe will come along and wipe all the things away that once held meaning. The other is fear on a smaller scale, but still one that's been around since we could look across the cave and say to ourselves,
Fuck you too!
The other is part of the philosophical and psychological dichotomy between self and other. If the self is known, then the other is unknown, alien, and often dangerous. The other is opposite or dissimilar. It doesn't follow the symbolic order of things as we know it. If the self is beauty, the other is ugliness.
You're one ugly motherfucker.
The self and other, like us and them, is of course an artificial dichotomy, and a politically charged one at that.
Why do they hate us?
There is no enemy in the other, only the enemy within, and our paranoid refusal to accept that we are one and the same.
I guess you're okay.
But sometimes, the idea of accepting the other turns our stomach. Cosmic horror takes this fear to the extreme. In the case of the Thing in Dead Space, the other literally infiltrates the self, takes over the very being of the person. It corrupts the self into something ugly and unrecognizable. It forces the hero to come to terms with the fact that they are one and the same, in the most horrifying way possible. The unconscious is the automatic processes of the brain that drives our feelings, skills, subliminal perceptions, thoughts, habits, reactions, complexes, phobias, and even desires.
Who screamed?
You did.
I did?
I said, come back.
It is a phenomena that determines our passions without our awareness. It is in control of your meaty flesh bag, and there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it, and that's scary. Cosmic horror handles the fear of the unconscious through the slow erosion of reality. If the conscious, waking state is reality, then cosmic horror plunges the hero into the unknown terrain of the unconscious. A place where the individual is driven by forces beyond his or her control.
Nicole has been dead this whole time. Whatever you were seeing was caused by that. You are its pawn.
Cosmic horror forces us to come to grips with the thin line between sanity and insanity.
I knew you'd return to me. We are whole again, Isaac. We are whole.
And how little control we have over what goes on inside our head. On the surface, cosmic horror is the fear of the unknown, but at the heart of it, It's about the one unknowable thing that scares us the most. Ourselves.